Good day, parents and guardians. How have you been? Welcome to Kids Church Online, wherein we still strive to continue sharing the gospel to kids through online platforms. And while we are doing this, we know that we parents have that role to bring about online church for our kids. We play the greatest influence to them. Now we are back with our family devotional, and I'm Vince, happily serving with you along with our kids teachers and pastors. We are continuing with our series called Loyalty to the Royalty. For the past 3 weeks, we have been talking about how to come to God in times of difficulty. And last week, we talked about Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Well, guess what? This time around, Nebuchadnezzar got another dream, and we will be talking about that. Let's begin our family devotional with an activity. Prepare a paper and any drawing pens like markers, crayons, pencils. Everyone will try to be an artist today. Don't worry if you are not comfortable with drawing. We will just have fun. Give the materials to the kids. One person will start describing a scene and everybody will just draw what is being described. So, like, there is a very big tree in the middle of the land. The tree is so big that it reached the sky. It has green leaves and has lots of fruits. There were animals resting under its shades and birds on its branches. Now, have some fun drawing the described scene. Well, did you know that this picture you draw was someone's dream? Let's read about it. Let's read about it in the book of Daniel, chapter 4. Starting in verse 10. The visions of my head as I lay in bed were this. I saw and behold a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong, and its top reached to heaven, and it was visible to the end of the whole earth. Its leaves were beautiful, and its fruit abundant, and it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it, and the birds of the heavens live in its branches, and all flesh was fed from it. I saw the visions of my head as I lay in bed, and behold, a watcher, a holy one, came down from heaven. He proclaimed aloud and said, thus, chop down the tree and loop off its branches. Strip off its leaves and scatter its fruit. Let the beasts flee from under it and the birds from its branches. But leave the stump of its roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze, amid the tender grass of the field. Let him be wet with the dew of heaven. Let his portion be with the beast in the grass of the earth. Let his mind be changed from a man's, and let a beast's mind be given to him. And let 7 periods of time pass over him. The sentence is by the decree of the watchers, the decisions by the word of the holy ones, to the end that the living may know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will and sets over the lowliest of men. None of the wise men at court could tell what the dream meant, and Daniel was called to interpret the dream for him. In verse 24, this is the interpretation, O king. It is a decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king, that you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. You shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and you shall be wet with the dew of heaven, and 7 periods of time shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men and gives it to whom he will. And as it was commanded to leave the stump of the roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be confirmed for you from the time that you know that heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by practicing righteousness, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the oppressed, that there may perhaps be a lengthening of your prosperity. King Nebuchadnezzar was one of the most powerful rulers of his time. He had a vast empire and a strong army. What Daniel just told him were not words a king would want to hear. Yet, that is what God revealed to Daniel. And a year later, just when the king was proudly admiring his kingdom, that very thing happened. In verse 31, while the words were still in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven. O King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and you shall be driven from among men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and you shall be made to eat grass like an ox, and 7 periods of time shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules the kingdom of men, and gives it to whom He will. In verse 33, immediately the word was fulfilled against Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from among men and ate grass like an ox, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair grew as long as eagle's feathers, and his nails were like birds' claws. King Nebuchadnezzar became like a madman. All his power and wealth cannot do anything for him. And as Daniel had prophesied a year earlier, his kingdom was only restored to him when he acknowledged the power of God. The power of God is truly beyond any kingdom on this earth. With this heartfelt reading of the Word, gather up with your family, your kids, and take a time of discussion with them. Let them speak up their thoughts and insights by the following questions. If your kids are 2 to 6 years old, ask them, can you picture what it would be like to meet a king? How would you act if a king were to come to our house? So if your kids are 7 to 12 years old, looking back at this year, what are some of the things you have achieved or accomplished? How do you feel about them? How do you think were you able to accomplish them? It's now your turn to share. Is God really all-powerful? Do you always come to God for everything? God is the only one to whom all kings will eventually bow down. Today, when you look around the world, all nations are going through difficult times. Even the most powerful nations are not exempt. This is a time when only the power of God can save. Only God can take you through your difficulties. Let us come before Him and praise His name, for He alone is sovereign over all things. After all this, start praying and believe that God will help you in difficult situations, and that you will open up your heart for all His plans for you. Now you can access our family devotional material right below this in our link. You can discover lots of stuff there and present it to your kids. I am excited to see you and hear stories from you of how you did your family devotionals at home. Even now, a lot of our kids in Kids Church are having their victory group online. We have our teachers to help us with this. Thank you, parents and guardians, for being with us in this series. Wow, we're about to end it next week. We are moving all our resources to our Facebook page to serve and make it available to many, starting with our new series. I am thrilled to see you again as we are loyal to the royal, and that is God. See you again. God bless.